Hi everybody, it's Delusion Dispeller, and I started reading these notes that I took on Stop Walking on Eggshells, Chapter 2. I was going to read them to Matthew, and then I thought, well, why don't I just record it? It'll save me having to go over it again on a video, so here we go. Chapter 2 of Stop Walking on Eggshells by Paul T. Mason, MS, and Randy Creaker. And it's not word for word, it's excerpted from the book in a lot of places, just so you know. Okay, so let's talk about what personality traits are. Personality disorder traits, sorry. This is from the DSM-4 TR, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual for Treatments. Okay. Enduring patterns of inner experience and behavior that deviates markedly from the expectation of the individual's culture. I'm going to tell you everything I can in layman's terms because a lot of these words are like, woohoo, way over my head even. But I'm very good at breaking things down at kind of an elementary level for those of the people, including myself in many cases, that don't understand all the high modern technology, whatever term, technological terms. So, in layman's terms, a person that behaves oddly compared to the majority of people in their culture. Basically what it means. Pervasive and inflexible. In layman's terms, this means stubborn, demanding, insisting on their own way, unable to be moved off of what they believe, what they think, the way they perceive. Stable over time. In layman's terms, this means we'll have calm moments where they can reason with you. Leads to distress or impairment in interpersonal relationships. All this means is they mess up relationships, basically, and they stress themselves out over those mess ups, and then they keep on doing it. Borderline personality disorder traits. A pervasive pattern of instability of interpersonal relationships, self-image, and affects or moods, and marked impulsivity beginning by early adulthood and present in a variety of contexts, as indicated by 5 or more of the following. So basically, it's what I just told you. It's something that is lasting in their life. It's in all parts of their life. It's immovable. It's unchangeable unless they decide to change it with help. And it's very difficult to reason with them, except if they're having like lucid moments. Now, here's what this looks like. Number 1, frantic efforts to avoid real or imagined abandonment. In layman's terms, what this means is it can be lying, it can be projecting, it can be blaming other people for what they're doing, it can be embellishing what really happened. The fact is, a borderline personality disordered person will do anything to prevent you from basically leaving the room, leaving them, leaving the house, leaving the relationship, or being fired, or being let go from a job, being let go from a club or a membership, a dance class, a team, anything. They will do anything they can to avoid having that happen. Number 2, a pattern of unstable and intense interpersonal relationships characterized by alternating between extremes of idealization and devaluation. In layman's terms, what this really means is idolizing someone, bragging that they know this person, telling people how awesome the person is and how fortunate and blessed they are to be with this person, but then suddenly, unexpectedly, turning against that same person, criticizing and blaming them, usually for things that they did, that the borderline person did, threatening to harm them, saying, I wish I never met you. I wish I never knew you. I wish you were never born. I don't know what I ever even saw in you. Number 3, identity disturbance, markedly and persistently unstable self-image or sense of self. In layman's terms, this means they feel empty, non-existent. They feel like chameleons, like they have to change every time they're with a different person or group of people. They feel like they're like kind of different people depending on who they're with, literally different people, and they can act that way. They look at other people and observe their reactions in order to decide how to act themselves, how to believe, how to think. They hate being alone because of this. They feel like if they're alone, that they stop existing. If they're not with other people, that they can observe to see their reactions to what they're saying, what they're doing. They feel panicky and bored without stimulation from their environment. They feel like constant failures. They base their own self-worth on their achievements. They are so hard on themselves that they always feel never good enough. They portray themselves as victims, even if they are the one causing people to reject them or quit their relationship. They set harsher boundaries for themselves than anybody could ever set. Or not boundaries, expectations. I'm sorry, I'm using the wrong word. They set harsher expectations of themselves than anybody could ever set. In order to deal with this type of person, you have to sometimes set harsher boundaries. Sometimes you have to go no contact. It just depends on how severe the situation gets. Borderline people will play victim. Why do they do this? Sympathy. They want sympathy. They want you to feel sorry for them. Not all of them, but I'm talking about extreme cases here. It's someone that they can be. The victim is a role for them to play. It gives them an identity. Borderline people don't have an identity of their own, and they try to look to that in how you react and respond to them or how other people treat them. So being a victim will give them a sense of self. They can pretend that they're not to blame if they are the ones that were persecuted or victimized. They are reenacting their past a lot of times. They're trying to do this over and over in hopes that at some point they will get it right. They'll be good enough. Why do they play savior and caretaker and rescuer sometimes? Again, it gives them an identity. They can be the one that was there for you when nobody else was. They can be the one that took you in when everybody rejected you. It gives them a sense of self and self-worth. It gives them control of somebody else or something that's going on. It also helps them feel less empty because it gives them a purpose and it makes them feel like they exist. I know that's an odd thing to say, but literally a borderline person that is extremely borderline does not literally feel like they have a soul unless they are with other people, because they don't know if what they're saying or doing or how they're acting is the right thing unless they see somebody else smiling at them or somebody saying, hey, great job. They need that. They crave that. They don't have an inner sense of self. They don't have inner self-esteem. So they get that from the external. Number 4, impulsive behavior. Addictions. Binging, spending money they don't have to spend, meaning they can't afford to. Gambling, shoplifting, being promiscuous, reckless driving, depression, suicide attempts, and lacking impulse control. In other words, they don't think before they act. They may cut themselves, burn themselves, break their own bones, bang their heads. They may poke themselves with needles or sharp instruments. They may dig at their skin. They may pull out their own hair. They may even rip scabs off of their skin. Any type of self-harm or mutilation. This is also common with borderline personality disorder. Even overeating to the point where they become obese is another trait of this disorder. Stimulating fights with others, starting trouble so that they can feel alive. Another thing. Number 5, recurrent suicidal behavior, attempts, gestures, threats, or like we said, self-harm, suicide, cutting, other impulsive behaviors. They use this as an escape so that they can handle and deal with and cope with intense, uncontrollable, overwhelming pain emotionally. In layman's terms, what does this mean? It means there are actions that they have happen and then they react to it. And people, when they act out, will reassure them, it's going to be okay. Oh, no, don't leave. We'll work it out with you. It'll be okay. This gives them the feed that they're looking for, the reassurance, the mirroring that they need to know, hey, I'm okay. I'm not a bad person. It gives them comfort. It gives them pity a lot of times from other people. And it reduces their pain by having all of this external feedback from people. Why do borderlines self-harm? Here are some of the reasons. To feel like they're alive and existent. We talked about that. It dulls the numbness. They feel like they don't exist. They feel just blah, numb, like they're otherworldly, whatever. Self-harming, cutting, doing these things to themselves gives them pain, which is a feeling. It tells them, hey, I really am alive. I know this sounds odd, but it is very much the truth. Or they use it to numb out. Some people that cut zone out and dissociate, so they don't have to even realize what's going on around them. They're disconnected completely. Sometimes they do this to lash out at other people angrily. And a lot of times they'll yell at people while they're doing it. They'll take their wrist and they'll take a razor blade and go, this is because you did this to me. This is because you hurt me. These are for all the times that you betrayed me and you left me and you deserted me and you abandoned me. They self-punish. You're such a bad, bad person. I hate you. You're stupid. How do I know about this? Also, because of not just reading it, I used to take a belt with a buckle on the end of it and beat myself on the back. They call it self-flagellating. And there's actually cultures that train people to do this, to self-punish. Borderlines will do these kind of things. It's often a stress relief. Self-harm is a stress relief. There are endorphins, which are feel-good hormones that are given off when somebody cuts themselves, burns themselves, does these things. You've probably heard of this happening, these endorphins, when people do tattoos, pierce their tongue, pierce other body parts. They get off on the pain, is what they say. But what's actually happening is when they do this, there's a feel-good hormone that's released called endorphins or oxytocin. There's other ones. I don't know all the names of them. But it brings this type of euphoria, this feeling of, woohoo, I'm on top of the world. This feels so good. I'm so happy. Yeah. So that's why they do it. Stay tuned on the next video. I will share more. See you there.